The Churchills, In Love and War, by Mary S. Lovell. Narrated by Flosnik. Copyright 2011 by Mary S. Lovell. This audiobook is published by arrangement with W. Norton and Company, Incorporated, and was produced in the year 2011 by Tantor Media, Incorporated, which holds the copyright thereto. Preface. It is no easy task to write about a family that produced so many strong and active personalities, some of whose lives were so colourful that they provided source material for best-selling contemporary novelists such as Anthony Trollope, Edith Wharton, and Henry James. Even so, everyone in this extraordinary family is overshadowed by one of the most remarkable men in modern history. There is very little not already well known about him, and yet his life was so full that if 20 historians sat down to write a biography of him, and all were given exactly the same source materials, 20 quite different books would result. In addition to the scores of books written about Winston Spencer Churchill, he produced a mini-library himself. 50-odd titles, some multi-volume, all written in prose that could hardly be bettered, and there remains an enduring fascination with the man. What made him so special? Many of the books about Churchill are heavyweight political biographies in which the private man is lost to the average reader amid the history of the great events of the 20th century. But in a book about the Churchill family, it is impossible to provide an in-depth account of Winston Churchill's political career, and this is not my intention. Churchill appears here as a family man, a pivot around whose activities, to a greater or lesser extent, other family members live out their lives. I hope to give readers easier access to these individuals, especially those of the 19th and 20th centuries. It is the way Winston's personality and activities impinged on the lives of his family members that is important here, rather than those events which made him a household name and a national hero. Despite all the reading I have done on Churchill over the years, there is always more to read. Even in the last year, 2009 to 2010, newspaper articles have raised questions about aspects of his life and the lives of some of those close to him, such as the true cause of his father's early death. And it has been claimed that his mother Jennie had over 200 lovers, but his younger brother Jack was the result of an affair between Jennie and a lover in Ireland. But Winston and Clementine were estranged for a good deal of their marriage, that Churchill was a bully. And more recently, that Jennie robbed her 2 sons of their inheritance. Sir Winston's last private secretary wisely wrote in his memoir of Sir Winston's final years, "History is history, and nothing portrayed or written of Winston Churchill can diminish his stature." All the same, are there any facts behind these allegations? Some reviewers may take me to task for adopting a gossipy approach to my subjects, and I should like to make it clear from the outset that this is not unintentional. In my experience, and I approach the allotted biblical span of human years, the world has always thrived on gossip, and provided contemporary gossip is presented with appropriate explanation and is properly sourced, then it can have a place even in serious biography. When I first conceived this book, I had in mind a record of the whole family, from the first Duke onwards, but the Churchills are a prolific and multi-talented lot, and I soon saw that this was beyond the scope of one volume. Winston Spencer Churchill's father, Lord Randolph, was one of the 8 children of the 7th Duke of Marlborough who survived to marry and have children. From the marriages of his paternal uncles and aunts alone, Winston had 30 Churchill first cousins, and then there were 7 maternal cousins, the Leslies and the Fruins, in Ireland. In his children's generation, there were over 80 Churchills, Guests, Fellowses, Leslies, Sheridans, Fruins, and others, and in the following generation, there were over 100. So in order to keep this book to a manageable size, I quickly revised my brief to include only extraordinary deeds, behaviour, achievement in the Churchill family during the last 150 years. Even then, for reasons of space, I have had to cull hard. For example, the Guest family had many fascinating adventures in East Africa in the 30s that would make a book on its own. Winston Churchill did not become a leader by accident.